Welcome back to the show, people. Hope you're all well. Big up, man. Big up all of you for being here so early. And big up my panel. It's no Premsy in the house tonight, so I thought I'd bring up my boy Albert. What you saying, bro?
Yeah, not bad, man. I always appreciate the call out, Potsy, man. I'll get to see you on Saturday as well.
Yeah, man. I look forward to seeing you, bro. That's always a pleasure. And yeah, we'll look forward to Saturday because there's a lot to be discussed before then. Big up Goodally in the house again. Feeling better than he was last week, my friend. How are you now, mate?
Yeah. I'm good. All good, man. Throat's still a bit funny, but yeah, no, I'm good. But yeah, last week, as I said to you, man, I was dying.
KO'd, man.
So, yeah.
KO'd. Northside back in the house. What you telling me, fam? You good?
¿Qué pasó? I'm good, man. Just here, man. Just living, just here.
No, it's always a pleasure, boys. It's been a strange week, man, because Arsenal Football Club have had 2 games. Champions League has been back. The game at Chelsea hasn't been discussed. But instead of going through both games, I think we'll just pick out some of the hot topics at the moment, to be fair. And one of the hot topics is positives and one of the hot topics is negatives. And I'm not going to lie, I think that's like most weekends. But certainly the last couple of games, I've seen some positive from individuals, but I've seen some negatives in individuals. And I want to talk about both of those. Let's start with you, Guna Lee. Lee, we've seen some positives in Declan Rice in the last couple of games, my friend. He is yet again showing why he is tip top. Against Chelsea, I thought that he showed more leadership skills than anybody else. He dropped into the 6 and drugged just across the line. It was a really underrated finish, by the way. And then I thought last night Declan Rice really turned it on yet again, and I thought showed why he's been worth over £100 million. And sometimes I've been one of those that has said, just spend the money. If you want to go and get a player, just spend the money. I don't really care how much they are, because you could spend nothing and it could go wrong. You can spend a lot of money and it can go wrong. For me, we did the right thing in buying Declan Rice, and I think it's showing. But unfortunately, on the flip side of that, there's been some poor performances from Martin Ødegaard, bro. And I wanted to get your opinions on both those players at the moment and perhaps touch on the fact that some of the Arsenal fan base are calling for the captain's armband to be one day given to Declan Rice. So talk to me, bro.
Yeah, listen, man. I think overall, Declan Rice. I don't know. I've run out of superlatives to talk about this guy. I don't know how else I can apologize to this guy for the way that I kind of really wanted Caicedo over him. Everybody knows I didn't say I didn't want either of them. I wanted both of them. I just, I thought Caicedo was a better player for Arsenal, especially with the inverted right back thing that we saw at the end of last season, Brighton, etc., with Partey there. I just thought Caicedo was a guy, but Rice is showing me something, that I didn't see from him. I really didn't. And I am still a bit skeptical about him playing in the left centre mid role, but what he brings to the team is just drive, skill. He never loses the ball. I think Lee Judge said the same thing. He's an absolute monster. I saw him, can't remember what game I saw him at live, and he's just a unit. He's just so good. So yeah, Rice and you know what the good thing about him is, he's playing so well. We're not talking about his price tag. He's turning up in the big moments against Chelsea. I didn't think he was amazing in the first half, but second half he really stepped up. Man United clutch moments. That was his moment to welcome himself to the Emirates. Havertz hasn't done that, so yeah, fair play to him. He's doing exceptionally well now. With Odegaard, look, like I know he's going to probably split opinion for people. People don't think he's good enough. He's ghost to guard. I just think it's just so hyperbolic for people to, tell me that he's not good enough for Arsenal and he shouldn't be playing for Arsenal and he shouldn't have the captain's armband. To take it off of him, it just wouldn't make any sense to me, because last season he turned everyone's opinions about from him. So it's almost like, it was almost like people are just waiting for him to make a mistake so that, this is the reason why he shouldn't be the captain. Now, you know what? I do think that Rice would be a worthy captain. I think he's been excellent, but I don't think it's like a Harry Maguire thing where he's so bad that he can't be the captain of Arsenal. I think he's put in some really good performances, not so much so this season, but again, last season when he was scoring 15 goals, everyone's going to keep mentioning, like last season he fell off and the team fell off. But what about Saka? What about Granit Xhaka? What about Jesus? What about Zinchenko? I saw him crying on the bench, and he's meant to be the captain of Ukraine. I saw the captain of Switzerland, Xhaka, last season calling out ESR, calling out plays when you were dropping stinkers yourself. You know, so for me, I just think like people are just so quick to just turn on people, man. And I almost feel like, and again, I'm not talking about it, but it's almost like I don't know how people have relationships. Like, what is it? The first time that your girlfriend or boyfriend upsets you, you're gonna just dump them because they don't do what you want. Like, what is it? Like, why people are so quick to just jump on somebody after a few bad performances? Like, did Patrick Vieira never have bad performances? Did Patrick Vieira not for 3 seasons try and run out of Arsenal and people love him? Like, this is did Fabregas not beg to basically leave Arsenal? Did Henry not beg to leave Arsenal? Yes, they did stuff to prove. Fabregas didn't. He didn't prove anything to be this, you know, the legend that he is. Really, his performances, yeah, but in terms of winning, I mean, nothing. So for me, I just feel like people are so quick, and it's not even like, oh my god, like it's in a personal thing, because Dan Potts, you can attest to this. I wanted Kieran Tierney to be the captain. So I don't even care. I don't actually care that much about Odegaard. So it's not an Odegaard thing. It's just like people are just so quick to forget what he did last season and how he led in a different way. And now they're just like, oh yeah, put someone else as the captain, etc., man. Things don't work like that, man. Like it just doesn't work like that in life. Like, you let the guy get out of his bad rut. We've seen how good he can play, and let him show the quality that he's got, because we've all seen it with his 15 goals last season. That's just the way I look at it. But I wouldn't begrudge anybody if they said that Rice should be the captain, because I can see that. I can genuinely see that. I don't think that that's like a crazy thing to say, but I just don't think it's as easy as like the Man United situation with Harry Maguire, where he's so bad that, you know, he shouldn't even be part of the squad or part of the first 11. I just think it's just too much. But yeah.
Yeah, listen, let me talk to you about my feelings on this, and I'll throw it to you, Northside, and then Albert, you can pick up the pieces, bro. Listen, the way I see it is this. Declan Rice, I like old school captains, and I think Declan Rice is that. I wanted to be given the armband to Kieran Tierney, but he is not seen as the part of the future. Therefore, Martin Ødegaard was given the armband. And I actually liked Martin Ødegaard's performances last season, and I rate him as a footballer. I think he's technically gifted. Where my concerns are with Martin Ødegaard at times, and he can still bring this back round, is that he does disappear in games. He becomes invisible, and when the going gets tough, he just disappears. And he's now been subbed again. I mean, this is about 4 or 5 games running now where this guy's been subbed. Now, I spoke to Judges about this the other day, and he said, oh, but he's in that position which is difficult, and he's in that position which is... I don't really buy that, I'm afraid. Right? And I love Lee, you know I do. But I don't buy that he's in this position, so we have to look at it differently. For me, if you're playing left back, right back, centre back, up top, or in goal, if you're playing poorly, you can be subbed. And it's not, but this position's harder than this position or that position. I never heard that for some of the other positions and some of the other players in that position. So for me, this is the first time I've been hearing it. I've been frustrated by Martin Ødegaard's performances of late. I don't think he's a shit player. I think he's a great player. In fact, I think he's better than great. However, when I see performances like that, I think it's okay for us to criticise, or at least have to show concerns that perhaps he's not playing at the top level. Now, with the Declan Rice thing, and I'll throw this to you, Northside, on both players, I think it's actually more of a positive as Arsenal that, yes, he could be a captain, he could be a leader, he might not have the armband on, but as far as I'm concerned, there's been players in the past that have had not the armband on in this Arsenal team that I've seen as leaders. So what's your thoughts on both these players at the moment, Northside? Because I think one is playing out of his skin and the other's struggling a little bit, man.
Yeah, I'm not really hearing all of this, because I feel like as a whole, this fan base is very selective. Yeah, when it's players like Odegaard and ESR, I'll give it time. People are, they're wearing a shirt, just back them. Keep the same energy for Pepe. Yeah, keep the same energy for players like that. You man didn't have the same energy, so I'm not hearing the excuses. Yeah, this one direction guard, I'm sick and tired of it. And this is not the first time I've been saying this. This guy looks great when he's not pressed. Yeah, when there's not 2 banks of 4 and the other opposition is just sitting back. When we're on top, the guy looks great. Name me a game that we're under the cosh, we are losing the midfield battle, and this guy grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and actually brings it to the opposition. He looks great when things are going our way. The guy ain't good enough. He goes backwards and sideways. Yeah. And you know what's more embarrassing? Yeah. That Declan Rice is playing holding midfield or always playing CDM. And I see this guy making better runs into the box. He could have scored a brace against Man City, but Nketiah and Jesus didn't release to him, completely unmarked. We're seeing Declan Rice, yeah, that was supposed to be in competition with Partey, make better runs and be more effective in the final third than Odegaard. I'm not listening to none of this crap, bro. I'm not listening to it. Because back in the day when we had players like Eduardo, players like Sonogo, Shamak, players like that, no one cared. Carlos Vela, no one cared, bro. You know what I mean? You're either good enough or you're not good enough. This team, this club has been way too emotional towards players for the last 20 years, which is why we have not won anything. Yeah? Bentley come through our academy, weren't good enough, no one cares. Yeah? Pennant came through our academy, no one cares. I do not care, bro. You're either good enough or you're not good enough. Yeah? If you're not good enough, goodbye. Yeah, I've seen everyone saying, oh, we're being too rash. No, we're not being too rash. We're not rash enough. I remember when people didn't care about giving Gnabry a chance. Yeah, he went on loan to West Brom. Never had a chance, but oh no, Bakawobi. Get rid of Gnabry. Who was the better player? We didn't give Balogun a chance. No one's screaming about, oh, didn't give Balogun a chance to be reactionary. At the end of the day, with this fan base, they're very selective on their favourites. Oh, we'll give this player a chance. We won't give the other player a chance. Why? Based off of what? You're either good enough or you're not good enough. You're either good enough or you're not good enough. As a captain, the captain's armband is saving this one direction. Filuta puta, I'm telling you from criticism. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm absolutely sick and tired of it. And you know their real feelings when you get new players in. Because last season, yeah, everyone telling me Partey, and this is how, yeah, Arsenal fans, not everyone, obviously, but a lot of this fan base, yeah, are very fickle, bro. Last season, oh, Partey's the best CDM, best one in the league, better than Casemiro. Declan Rice was in the league. Then we get Partey this transfer window. Oh, now get rid of Partey's injury prone. Hold on. Wasn't ESR, bro, I ain't seen ESR fit for a whole season since 1886. But the bar has moved because you like ESR. Based off of what? Then it was Tierney at the back, all of this nonsense, yeah, making up a song. As soon as you get Zinchenko, the new toy, now Tierney ain't that great. Really? But now we're seeing Tomiyasu playing better than Zinchenko. I thought Zinchenko was pivotal to the way that we play. What I'm saying is this. There's players in this team that I don't rate, like Fabi Vieira. Yeah? And I've seen more from him than Havertz, which is why I advocate for him to start. Call it out as you see it. Don't go with the flow. Don't go with what's popular. Oh, you can't call certain players out. It is what it is. Declan Rice played well in the second half. He was ghost for about 60, 70 minutes. Let's call it as it is. Not saying I don't rate him. Not saying that he wasn't effective after that, but he wasn't good enough. Ben White looking like the blonde George Michael. That field, that puta. What has gone on with that guy, bro? Not good enough. Getting cocked too many times. Call it out as it is. It's not being reactionary. We're not reactionary enough. Yeah? At the end of the day, it ain't good enough, bro. It ain't good enough from someone that's supposed to be the captain, supposed to represent. We want to give time to Raya. We want to give time to Havertz, all these bums. But when it's Ødegaard, bro, how long have you been here to gel with the team, to get used to the system, to be the captain? And this is the best I'm getting after a 4-year project. Leave me with that crap. I'm not hearing none of it. It's been patience for 20 years. What have we won? Nothing. No major honours. No major honours, which is why we got rid of Wenger. I'm not hearing any of it. This season is to win the league. The standard I'm seeing right now on the pitch is inconsistent and it ain't good enough. And people telling me, oh, it's controlling the game. No, we're not controlling the game. Ødegaard, you're a 10. The 10 is supposed to find the front three. He doesn't do it. He plays it safe every time. I was keeping a keen eye on this guy because everyone wants to justify this guy to me. Yeah? Against Lons, where were you? Against Fulham, the draw against Fulham, where were you? Against Chelsea, where were you? Oh, but I don't want to say online that he goes missing. I couldn't care less, bro. I couldn't care less. I call it as I see it. I don't rate Fabi Vieira, but off the bench, he's been impactful. He's been impactful. I didn't rate Ramsdale, but he showed me a season that he can be consistent, so I changed my mind. At the end of the day, I can change my mind, but this guy is not it, bro. He's not it. 10 games to go last season. Where was he? And I'm not saying he's the only one, but we're talking about Ødegaard right now. So let's not move the goalpost. The 2 seasons ago, we were aimed to get top 4. Where was that Filo da Puta? Where was he, bro? Tottenham got top 4 2 years ago over us. You are the captain. You're supposed to be the standard. You're supposed to be the leader, bro. And he's not the only one, but we're talking about Ødegaard. It ain't good enough. The guy isn't good enough. I can see with my eyes, the ability isn't there. Like when I told man about Reece Nelson, when I told him about Nketiah, El Nene, Rob Holding. All these man, I've been telling they ain't good enough. I can see it with, he ain't good enough. The same with Havertz. But at Arsenal, as long as you wear the shirt, we'll back you. That's a load of crap. They're all so happy to get rid of Tierney. So why can't we have the same criticism for Ødegaard? They were happy to get Lacazette. Didn't he wear the shirt? Happy to get rid of Pepe. Didn't he wear the shirt? I'm not hearing it. Leno. They're quick to get rid of Leno. Oh, yeah, well, if the manager doesn't want him. So why can't I criticize Ødegaard? I'm not hearing none of it. One direction, God. Yeah? Go apply for a boy band. Yeah? Because you look more... He's just there for the Project Youth. He looks cute next to Saka with a puppy. The guy is not a leader, bro. And I'm not saying he's a complete bum, but to be the captain of Arsenal Football Club and to be game in, game out, it's like 3 games this guy's gone missing and he doesn't get dropped. But yet if Trossard drops his stinker, he gets dropped. Where's the consistency? Where is the consistency? Even Havertz got dropped from the starting lineup. When he's dropping stinkers, why does this guy get to stay in the team? Why? Last season, we were playing better football and we didn't win the league. Now it's controlling the game. No, we're not. We're not looking that great. We're not looking great. And he's part of it. When Declan Rice's CDM is showing you up, bro, fetch that ball. But you can't be critical with Arsenal because everything has to be rosy. Only at the end of the season when we don't win anything can you say this. Then it's popular to say this. Nah, bro, drop him to the bench. And any other player, whether I rate you or not, if you're not playing well, Trossard wasn't playing well, I advocated for him to be dropped. Saka hasn't been fit. I advocated for him to be dropped. Why does Ødegaard get protected by the armband? Nah, man. Ban all of that. You ain't good enough, drop to the bench. The club comes first, not a player. Because I've seen players like Fabregas at this team, yeah, and leave. I've seen Thierry Henry at this club and leave. I've seen Nasri. I've seen Ashley Cole. Who the hell is an Ødegaard? Put the club first, man. If you're not playing well, drop to the bench and work your way back into the team. The guy's been a shambles, bro. He should be dropped.
Listen, he's come off in the last few games, Albert, and his performances haven't been of great. I will say, I think that Declan Rice has been phenomenal. And I think that for me, looking at the players moving forward, he's the one that I'm excited about. I'm kind of agreeing with some of what Northside has said, but I disagree with some of it. I think he's going in hard on Ødegaard, and I do feel like some of it of late has been deserved. I like him. I think he's a top player, and I do think that he will come good, and I've got time for him to come back into this league. But at the moment, he's just going through a bit of a tricky patch, man. So what's your thoughts on this situation, Albert? Because at the moment, our midfield has actually been spoken about the last few games for being good in parts and bad in parts. And I can't help but feel that we've kind of seen a little bit of an imbalance in midfield, particularly around the injuries that we've had. Thomas Partey just can't seem to keep fit. Jorginho's been coming in there. Declan Rice has been playing in the 6 and the 8. We all want to see Partey, Rice and Ødegaard. We're not really got any understanding of who is supposed to be our 8 when everybody is fit. Is it Rice? Because at the moment we've seen Vieira there, Smith Rowe there, Havertz there, and now we're seeing Rice play there at the moment. What's your thoughts in this midfield, bro?
Is there more for me to add, Dan, to the point? No, yeah, I think starting with Ødegaard, I'm going to sort of start with him, then come on to Rice. I think I said it about 2 seasons ago now. And I won't say Arsenal fans have got my back. They just kind of disagreed with it, which is fine. I don't have a problem disagreeing with my opinion. It was that I thought away from home, I wanted to see a little bit more. And it wasn't necessarily so much the big games, just his away performances in general. Has it got better? Yeah, it has got better. What I wanted to see him do a bit more, and it sounds pretty simple, but yeah, it's fantastic playing great football and getting yourself into fantastic positions, but have a shot at goal, man. He's done that. He's added more goals. You saw the goal return, was it 15 goals, 7 assists last season? I think it was. Yeah, he's added that. And I think I put in a chat when I think Lee was talking in terms of, you know, when you have an opinion about something and it blows up, and that's just the social media aspect of it, man. Like the narratives, who you support, fans of your own clubs, that's going to happen. So that's neither here nor there for me. But yeah, the last 3 games he has been disappointing, man. Because the thing is, I hear what Northside's saying. When it's one of your, not just your captain, when it's one of your main guys, your go-to guys, particularly in the big games, they have to step up. That's what they're there for. Not just, you can lead by example, whether it be through your footballing ability or you want to ring players around the neck, the old school sort of captain way. But that's not him. There's many different ways to be a captain. But Yeah, he hasn't been disappointing the last few games. What can you say? Like your eyes don't lie to you when you watch a game. I said it during my watch along in the Chelsea game. Some of the players I think still on the international break because that was a really poor performance. Sort of watching it, and sort of when the game was done, I thought, God, that we got a point out of we got a point, and you know what, we might have been lucky to get that. To be honest, good playing like that. But sort of coming to Rice because the guys have kind of covered a lot about Ødegaard. I said this before, Dan. I don't get bored of saying it because I think with Declan, I could understand. There was a lot of reticence from sections of our fan base wanting Declan Rice at Arsenal. I've always liked him as a player personally. It's not, but even from a statistical point of view, if you look at it from that point, or you want to look at it look at it from your own set of eyes in terms of it's a skill it's a skill with the ability to intercept and to break play up. That sort of DM role or that defensive role has changed so immeasurably over the last 15, 20 years. Talking about the days of Didier Deschamps, a water carrier, and Makelele. Declan Rice, he's only 24, so he's not the finished article, which is the positive. He's only going to get better. But I used to say to people, look, if you can have reservations about a player, but he's been playing in the Premier League for a number of years now, so he's not somebody that's come out of nowhere. You've seen his performances. I think for us as Arsenal fans, because he's playing for us now, we've seen it week in, week out. But Dan, the thing is, as good as he's been, you need the other guys to come around him and be up to the levels that he's been performing at with 7 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s even with Declan Rice. So yeah, I'm glad he came, and to be honest, I was sold on him as a player personally even before the Arsenal links. I always say this when we had the World Cup back in Qatar. In that quarterfinal against France, he was superb. I know Bellingham and Saka got the plaudits for a great tournament, but Declan Rice was brilliant. But obviously when the links came, I thought, I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, he's been exceptional, but him alone is not going to potentially get Arsenal to the promised land. In terms of the imbalance you talk about as well, the football, I know these guys probably think the same as well, but I hear the talk about wanting to keep the ball a bit better. But Dan, if you look at our football last season, what you see this season, it's completely chalk and cheese, man. And the thing is, the only 2 games where you could even possibly say you might have either enjoyed the football a little bit or is a bit more positive, is a bit more free flowing, was yesterday's performance and PSV were different, but they were better performances this season that Arsenal has shown.
I agree.
So what are we, 8, 9 games in now? A few Champions League games in. The thing is, before I finish up, sorry, I'm going off a bit of a tangent, but I hope it makes sense. In terms of, I get he wants to keep the ball better, but even with Zinchenko, for example, right, he plays inverted role, step into midfield. I think the issue I personally seen with him is that's fine doing that, but I think for me, I'd like to see him start in a position more as a fullback and then pick and choose and be a little bit more street smart when you congest the midfield area, because what that does is you make it a bit easy for the opposing teams to just have 2 low blocks or two banks of 4. So it just mixes up a little bit. And look, Tomiyasu came in yesterday. When Zinchenko came here, and it's a case of, if he gets injured, then who's going to play that role? I didn't see that being Tomiyasu. I mean, I'm not at the training ground every week, but the solidity and defensive side he brings to it is really key. But let me come back to the main point. But yeah, listen, I need to see better from Ødegaard. He's a captain. You lead by example. You had a good season last season. Yeah, you fell off towards the back end like a lot of players did, unfortunately. Declan Rice, excellent, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, facts, man. Listen, people, there's nearly 200 people in here. I need you to all hit the like button. We've only got around 45 or so at the moment, so let's make sure we can double that, man. Jesus. Come on, people. There's free content. We've got a lit panel talking all things Arsenal, so all you got to do is hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and follow all these guys too. Lee, let me just quickly, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Firstly, before we move on from the midfield, when Thomas Partey does get fit, do you think this Partey, Ødegaard and Rice situation in the middle will actually allow us to click a bit more and show a little bit more fluidity? Because as far as I'm concerned, they complement each other.
Yeah, I think for me, look, again, people are going to say what they want about him, about Odegaard, but I think when you have someone who passes the ball forward and you don't have a Jorginho, who for me is, I don't see him. I don't see him as an Arsenal player. I don't see what he does. I don't see what he provides to the team. He's there for experiences, but he makes mistakes. You know, anybody that tells me that Jorginho is an Arsenal footballer and he's good enough to play for Arsenal, and you're going to put the burden on Odegaard, I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I really can't understand that. But yeah, for me, I think you've seen Odegaard play best when he plays with Partey, when the ball's driven to him. And listen, Odegaard himself isn't playing great. So that's not to remove anything from him. He's making passes that are 2 yards look like they're the most difficult thing. So that is on him. But what I am saying is him getting the ball in the right places, in the right positions, it's not coming forward. It's not getting to him. And you also look at Declan Rice now, for all the positive that Declan Rice brings, he actually brings a negative because he doesn't actually connect well with Odegaard. That's not to say that it's his fault. It's just that they haven't got that connectivity right now. Declan Rice isn't a left 8. He isn't. You see when he connects with Martinelli, it doesn't work. It doesn't look good. And that's not to say that, again, he's not a good player. He's fantastic, but he is a 6. His best position is a 6, and he will dominate in that position, driving forward, but he is not a left 8. And I think that's also not helping Odegaard. But listen, for me, I just think when you put Partey in that team, he connects so well with Odegaard. And listen, the other part of it is Saka's not playing well. Saka isn't playing well at all. So I think that's another thing which you have to, level at the team, at the manager, whoever it is that you want to level it at. So listen, I'm here to just, speak on what I think and what I see. I think, people that are, really the criticism of Odegaard, I don't know what more to say, bro. I honestly, I can't sit here and say anything other than you've seen him play best when he plays Odegaard plays with Partey. Now he's not playing with him. I'm not removing any responsibility from him because ultimately he's the captain. That is 100% right, and he needs to be doing better. But it's just too much. It's just way too much, man. Because as I said, does Haaland deserve the slander because he had a poorish start to the season with his 8 goals? Does Saka deserve the slander because he's been horrible? Martinelli, I think he's only got 1 goal. Does he deserve the slander? So Jesus in the Premier League, he's not performed. So does he deserve the slander? That's my point. Like, my point is, when you think about Odegaard and you see what he's done, it just comes from, do you know what? You just don't like him. If you don't like it, that's cool. That is it. That is literally it. There's nothing. It's not footballing reasons for some people. It's you just don't like him, and that's it. Like, I'll be honest, I do not like Jorginho. I think he's a horrible footballer. He doesn't offer anything for us going forward. He doesn't offer any solidity. He can't track back. Did you see him tracking back against Chelsea the other day? He was shocking. He was so bad, and that's on the manager. For me, that's on the manager. But no one's asking him to put there. And for me, again, people, you talk about the you talk about Ben White. People talk about Ben White. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're complaining about Ben White, then we might as well just pack up and go home. But Ben White's been one of our best players this season. I don't know what more people. I don't know what he can do, to be honest. But I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot of like, it's absolutely crazy what I'm hearing. But I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. But yeah.
Well, listen, this all shows all about opinions, and I welcome them all. And some people in the chat can take it, some people in the chat can't take it. We've seen earlier on. But Northside, let's come to you, bro. I mean, you obviously sniggering there at some of the points Lee made. You obviously disagree with him in relation to Ben White and Ødegaard. But I wanted to move on to Tomiyasu as well, bro. I mean, feel free to come in anything that Lee has said. But Tomiyasu, I thought, was quality last night. For me, he was one of the man of the match, and I thought he's actually been really good. And a lot of people don't like Tomiyasu. I don't like his injury record. That's one thing I don't like. But when he does play, I actually quite like him. I think one-on-one defending, he's good. I think in the air, aerially, he's probably the best that we've got. And I like the fact that he's versatile. He can play right, left, or centre-back. So do you think he deserves a run in the team now instead of Zinchenko, bro?
Yeah, 100%. which is crazy because it goes away from the narrative that was painted that Zinchenko is pivotal to the way that Arteta plays football. We won, didn't we? Zinchenko was
no, side. Can I just ask you a question? I'll ask you a question. That the first season when Jack Grealish went to Man City, do you think he was good that first season?
No,
Jack Grealish.
Yeah,
not the first year he weren't, but second.
No, he wasn't. But...
So with that, just because he had a bad first season doesn't make him a bad player, does it? Because we've seen what he was like last season. We saw what he was at Aston Villa, etc., etc. So, can you see like how like you say that Arsenal fans are like too attached and too emotional, but can you see how you might be being a bit too emotional because you are so against this player who's Odegaard and against Zinchenko and against whoever else, Ben White, whoever else it is, because of bad performances that they've had, which happens in football. Like, I can tell you now.
I can leverage that back to the players that you don't like. You've just said a statement about, when it comes to Odegaard, it's because you don't like him. It's not for footballing reasons. When I said exactly why I didn't like him. I always elaborate on why I don't like something. When it's you don't like Jorginho, it's because I don't see it. Why is it that because you don't like Jorginho, it's because of footballing reasons? When I elaborate about Odegaard, he's a number 10 that never as a captain and as a number 10 doesn't do everything and bust a gut to beat his man, to find the front three. And when we're getting pressed in the midfield, he goes missing. He's a player that's only expansive when a team sits back, allows him all the time to do whatever he wants to do. That game against Sevilla, he was going backwards and sideways like it's flipping Wimbledon. It ain't good enough. You're a number 10. And when we're seeing Declan Rice that is able to do your job and more, that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, bro.
The whole point. The whole point is that if you're gonna try and level Jorginho's performances for Arsenal on the same level of Odegaard's performances for Arsenal, they are like chalk and cheese. There are no comparisons. Jorginho's had one good thing that he's done, which was to score against Aston Villa. And do you know what? I'll give him. He played extremely well against Man City. Other than that, he's offered nothing to Arsenal in a positive way. Now, when I then reverse that and I talk about Odegaard, we've seen what he did last season. We've seen him score goals against Newcastle. We've seen him score goals against Brighton. We've seen him score goals against Spurs away. We've seen him get assists and score 3 goals against Man United. We've seen him score goals against Chelsea last season. So this thing where you're saying he basically just isn't good enough and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. But Jack Grealish, going back to my original point, Jack Grealish was poor for a whole season and you would still rate him or you still think he's good enough or etc. in the best team. But you won't give those same allowances. With you and Odegaard, there's no context. So there's nothing that can be making him...
There's no context.
Wait, hold on.
Because you're saying something I didn't say. But no. It's okay if you tell me what I say, but don't say what I didn't.
My last point. When I say there's no context, is because there's nothing that can be surrounding Odegaard that might make him not be performing to his level. But you won't say that for Saka, or you won't say that for Saliba. I've seen Saliba.
Hold on, you didn't ask me about those players, so don't say that I didn't say that. You didn't ask me.
Okay, but my point is those. Okay, fine. So fine. You give credit. You give criticism. But fine. Okay, no, I'm hearing you. You give criticism to all players and in different ways and etc. Okay, I'm hearing you. But where I go with it is, it's so hyperbolic to the point of like dash him out with the baby with the bathwater because he's just not good enough, and you've given your reasons as to why. But they are it's so dramatic. Ultimately, I'm agreeing with you. Arsenal. I'm agreeing with you. Odegaard isn't playing well. So let's take these last 4 games, right? I think Albert's going to agree, Dan's going to agree, you're going to agree, I agree. He isn't playing well. But the context might be that he's not playing with Partey or a better 6. The context might be that Xhaka did some of the work where winning the ball back, which he didn't have to do, and he could concentrate on that creativity. Because last season, he was making you eat your words all season, minus the last 10 games or 9 games even. Sorry.
So just take it away. That's a free hit.
No. Wait, hold on. But then you're basically trying to say, and you're because you were talking about Odegaard, it's like you put all the responsibility on his shoulders for us not performing when there's players that are seasoned vets who have been doing this season in, season out, who have been at the Arsenal and have flopped. Gabriel Magalhaes last season, Gabriel Jesus last season, Ramsdale last season, Saka last season, who was meant to be golden boy, right? Martinelli last season, who's meant to be one of the best left wingers in the world. Xhaka, who's meant to be the captain, etc. of Switzerland, and he was meant to be the on-field captain. So where I go with this is, there's no you not once did you say in your monologue, you know what, he's not good, but he may not be playing good because of X, Y, and Z. It's just that, you know what, he's not good. I've always known he's not good. He's not good enough. He can't be the captain. But not every captain is well, and you know this because you work in different fields of work. You've never had the same captain. You've never had the same manager that performs the same way. Some are more firm, direct. I'm sure Albert's been through the same thing, and I'm sure Dax has been damned for the same thing. You don't always have the same manager that performs in the same way. Some people are a bit more caring, a bit more nurturing. Some people are a bit more hard-hitting. That's just how it goes. So you're just expecting him to, because it's not the way that you want it to be done or the way you see it. It's like, it's all Odegaard. He's not performing. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. So two things can be true. He's not playing well, but he's also, there may be reasons why he's not performing to even anywhere near. Because now what you're saying, what it's almost like what you're trying to say. I know I'm going on, but it's almost like what you're trying to say is this, what he's showing now is at his level. And last season was a fluke. And there's nothing in between. That's how it comes across. It's maybe what you're, it's not maybe what you're saying, but it's how it comes across.
Cool. Thank you for that monologue of being his lawyer, because you don't have all this defense for Jorginho and Raya. The other one that you don't rate, cool. So when you judge Jorginho and when you judge Raya, it's about the ability. You don't rate it because obviously it's about ability. It's a sport. When I'm talking about Ødegaard, it's about the ability. Yeah, I'm not saying that he needs to completely leave this team, but he should not be starting and he should not be captain. He's not leading as an example. You're talking to me about Ødegaard, yeah? Yes, he got a lot of stats last season. Where was he when it really matters? Where was he in the big games this season? Because a lot of big games, first game back in the Champions League, that's a big game against Lens. Newcastle dealt with PSG, all right? Why is he not one of the leaders? Because every time we're under the cosh this season, he's not a leader. And this is not just this season. Last season as well. Listen, I've seen people like Maddison in a Leicester team last season that was sinking, and he still shined. He still shined. So you can be a great player in a big fish in a small pond and still shine. Your ability, what you're doing, what you're bringing to the team. This guy is a passenger, and it is what it is. Last season, 10 games to go, the guy didn't show up. The season before that, to get top 4, the guy didn't show up. Yeah? So that is why I'm judging him, because it ain't good enough. Sticking with this guy as our main creator and it cannot be dropped ain't good enough. I don't see the ability. As a number 10, like I said to you, I'm expecting you to create things out of nothing. Yeah? I'm expecting you to find the front three. I'm expecting you to at least drive forward. Yesterday against Sevilla, I even saw Saliba at a time got so frustrated, he ran through the midfield to create something for the front three. That is embarrassing. Not one time did I see Ødegaard do that. Yeah? So at the end of the day, I'm looking at him as his ability. He's a very neat footballer, but he creates nothing when the going ain't good. And guess what? This is the Premier League. And people saying, oh, but teams are now playing a low block to try and nullify Arsenal. Well, Man City are able to deal with that. So at the end of the day, find a way. KDB finds a way, so find a way. And if you can't find a way, it means you're not good enough. I cannot rate. Hold on. You had a long monologue. Let me land, because you're saying things that are not right. There are valid reasons why I don't rate this guy as highly as the rest of this fan base.
But the guy is not a your words, because you said that he should leave the club.
Let me land. I'll let you land. I will fight until you're finished. He is not a leader, not only vocally, but as a performance, he's not a leader. There's different types of leader. Aubameyang was a leader through his performance, not being loud. This guy ain't good enough. You want to die on that hill? That's cool. I'll see you at the end of the season like I did last season.
So Aubameyang was a better leader.
The guy has not got the ability.
Was Aubameyang a better leader than
against Sevilla? Where was he? Against Fulham, where was he to drag us to win the game? I've seen
so I'm asking,
drag us through games. I've not seen this guy drag us through games.
So was Aubameyang a better leader than Ødegaard?
In terms of showing by example, yes, he was. There's different ways of being a leader.
Okay.
How is he a leader?
Northside, do you think, serious, real talk, do you think Ødegaard can turn this around in your eyes? Not in, because there's a lot of fans that really like him. I, for one, have had my concerns about Ødegaard, not just this season, but previously. And last season, for me, goals and assist wise, I was like, I'm zipping it, man. This guy's been absolutely on fire. And I just had concerns in that respect. Do you think Ødegaard can lead by example, can drag us across the line, can turn up in big games? Or have you just seen enough to know that it ain't there for you?
I don't think he's got the temperament for it. This is why I said, and Lee still hasn't given me a game. We're under the cosh. It's a big game, and he drags us through.
Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read out his stats?
Hold on.
I'm going to read out his stats. Against Man United.
Just let Northside land and then come back in.
In terms of his performance, dragging us through, I've not seen it, bro. So at the end of the day, it's all good talking all this nonsense. But at the end of the day, at the end of the season, since he's been here, what have we won? What have we won? You are the captain, bro. And there's a responsibility when you're a captain, bro. And I'm not seeing it. And I've not been seeing it. This is not something new. I'm just saying it again because I'm seeing it again. But I've been saying this. He is not creative enough as a number 10. He plays like Jorginho. You tell me about Jorginho. He plays backwards and sideways just like Jorginho.
Okay, so basically, the couple of things I'm going to say. Aubameyang, under his tutelage, we finished 8th twice. That's the first thing. The second thing, Odegaard, and he won the FA Cup, the same FA Cup that if we won this season, you wouldn't be happy with because it's not enough. I'll read out his stats. Against Man United in 6 games, this is Odegaard. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist. Against Spurs, he's got 2 goals in 6 games. Against Chelsea, he's got 2 goals and 1 assist in 5 games. Against Liverpool, he's got 1 assist in 5 games. And against Brighton, he's got 2 goals and 2 assists against Brighton and 1 goal against Newcastle. Now, last season, I remember we were under the cosh against Newcastle. I think, Albert, maybe you disagree. Maybe Dan Potts would disagree. But Newcastle away, we were under the cosh. And guess what? We won the game. And Odegaard scored. I remember again, last season, we were 1-0 down against Man United. And who scored? Odegaard. This season, we were down 1-0. And who scored? Odegaard. So for you to fantasize that he's never turned up in any big moments, well, I've just given you 3 moments that are ready, that just nullify what you're saying. Last season, against Chelsea, in the second half, we were 2-0 up. They played exceptionally well. So for you, but you will just eradicate that because you're going to say, well, that's not enough, or we still didn't win the league. And you're going to put it again all on Odegaard. So again, I feel like I'm bringing facts and it's still not going to be good enough for you. But
don't misquote me.
That's your point.
I don't mind if you challenge what I say. Don't misquote me because there's numerous times you misquote me. Yeah,
you've just said. I have not said. You've literally just said.
Well, you're not letting me. You're not letting me say my point.
You hold on. Okay, you asked me. Okay, you asked me. No, you asked me. In any big moments,
Nketiah scored a brace against Chelsea. Does that make him a top player? You gave him a new contract after scoring a brace against Chelsea. Yeah, it's about consistency. And when it comes to the crunch end of the season, this guy goes missing, and that's something that your stats ain't gonna rebuttal. Yeah, that's a fact.
I just gave you 4 games. I just gave you 4 games.
If you have the right to tell me that you don't see the ability in Raya, you don't see the ability in Jorginho, when Jorginho plays backward sideways, and I see the same thing from Ødegaard that's playing a 10, I have the right to say the same thing. And when you're telling me about, but he scored in this game, that game, there's been big games that Nketiah scored. Ultimately, he ain't good enough. Do you know why? Because he ain't consistent. The top players do it consistently to the end of the season, not start padding against small teams. And then when it comes to the crunch end, you go missing. And then everyone talks, oh, but he did it in that game. Yeah, the season is 38 games. And the expectation this season from the fan base, the expectation this season from the fan base, the expectation this season from the fan base is to win major honors. The inconsistency I keep seeing from this guy is that he's not going to be the person to get us over the line. I've even advocated for players like Fabio Vieira that I don't rate, saying that they've done more. They have done more to warrant getting into this team. So just at the end of the day, you can stick by him like the rest of the people.
No, hold on. So can I just ask
players like Lacazette, like Pepe, like El Nene, like Rob Holding? At the end of the season, it's calm.
Last question, Liam. We got
one last question. So what you're saying is, if James Maddison doesn't win the league for Spurs because they're top, this is the best start they've ever had, that he needs to be thrown out and he's not good enough. And even though you wanted him and he's better than Odegaard in your opinion, I'm sure, then that means that he's a failure, he needs to leave, etc., because ultimately you're giving the same expectations of Odegaard that you get. Yeah, I'm asking.
Yeah, go on, Northside.
No, you're asking a question. You're saying something that I've not said. I said as an individual, he's better. Yeah. But he's not going into a team that's had £700 million spent. He's not going into a team that's on phase 4. They're on phase 6, and yet they have an identity to the way that they play football. So at the end of the day, do not come out with that, because that's not what I said. Yeah. I've said, as Ødegaard has been here for as long as he's been here, yeah, I don't see the ability in him the same way you don't see it in Raya and you don't see it in Jorginho. So if you can say to me that you don't believe in Jorginho and Raya and their ability, and for them to get over the line, I can say the same thing about Odegaard. Because since he's been here, crunch end of the season, he doesn't turn up. It is what it is. Let's not slander certain players one way, and then the other players, they're exempt from being judged. Let's not do that, bro.
Cool. Listen, we ain't gonna get you two agreeing on that. That's for sure. Let's see what Ødegaard does. He definitely needs to improve, and I think we all agree on that. Let me chuck this your way, Albert, because this is a real good shout for me in terms of Tomiyasu. Albert, Tomiyasu and Timber for left back, and Zinchenko perform at the 8. I don't want to see Zinchenko in midfield. I mean, he's there after time anyway, playing this left back situation. But for me, I think it's a good shout on Tomiyasu. I've been really impressed with him, Albert, and I think he's come in on a few occasions now and has impressed me. So I think he deserves a shout. And I also think there's a couple of players at the moment that I think perhaps we might see in the coming games. Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson still there. We haven't seen Fabio Vieira, as Northside has said. I think there's a few players that Mikel Arteta is going to be looking at across the coming games, because for me, it's important that we rotate. And Tomiyasu and Trossard, for me, are the two that I would say, when everyone's fit on the bench, they're the two I'm looking at to actually come in and potentially knock some of the people out of the first 11. So what's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, it's kind of what I mentioned before with Tomiyasu, because it's the thing of, like, when, obviously, like I was saying before, when we bought Zinchenko, obviously he's going to play an inverted role and, have an extra body in midfield and, give the opposition team, try and draw them out. But it's a case of, he's got quite a bad injury record anyways, Zinchenko, by the way, even when he's at City. So, what we've seen at Arsenal really shouldn't be a shock to most Arsenal fans, to be honest. But it's a case of who's going to step in and play that role. But I look, if you look at Arsenal's personnel, if any Arsenal fans really, really honest, they wouldn't have said Tomiyasu. 1, because of his injury record, and 2, is he good enough he's good enough defensively, 100%. Even if you didn't believe defensively he was a good enough player, he's shown that in spurts this season in the games that he has featured. But he's been very impressive, Dan. I just didn't know he had that in his makeup. And to be honest, even before sort of the long injury run with Tomiyasu, if you looked at like a lot of the patches of our play when we were playing good football, Dan, you'd find him in the 6-yard box, 18-yard area. And you're thinking, look, that must come from the manager, or maybe he's taken that upon himself. So I'm actually surprised he hasn't scored for Arsenal yet, and he probably will break his duck this season. But I think with Tomiyasu, I think it's a case of to judge it over a number of games. But I'm happy with what I've seen so far, because what he does do, which Zinchenko doesn't do, because even when I did my watch along for the Chelsea game, and I'll clip some bits. Zinchenko, he has a tendency to do this. I don't know if you remember, we played Bournemouth last season away. We won the game, obviously, but even when I watched Zinchenko then, there was times when I thought, you know what, he can take liberties when he steps into that midfield role. And I mean giving the ball away, like simple A to B passing. He's done it again this season as well, to be honest with you. And defensively, he gets himself into some horrible positions, man. Zinchenko. I don't know what the guys think, but he does. And, with Tomiyasu, the fact we know he can defend anyway, but if Arteta obviously sees him in training, if he can add the element in terms of giving a bit more support to maybe Martinelli, or giving us a bit more in terms of an attacking outlet, then that's only going to be positive, right? So I think with Tomiyasu, it's a case of he's done well in the recent games we've seen, particularly in that position. But I would judge it over, I don't know, the next 4 or 5 games, depending if he's selected. But in some of the other fringe players, Dan, quickly, sorry. I don't know what the guys think, but I don't think he trusts Reece Nelson, which makes it crazy, because obviously he signed him up, for another 4 years. But because you think Saka's not been fantastic this season, even though there's been, you know, the cross for Trossard against Chelsea, and there's been other moments. He's been injured. He clearly wasn't fit against Chelsea. You can see that. You don't have to be a coach to see that he wasn't fit. He played yesterday. I can't remember last time Reece Nelson's featured, so I don't think he trusts him.
I think it was Brentford, wasn't it?
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I think it
Carabao
was.
Cup.
Yeah. So for me, there's obviously an issue in terms of he doesn't trust him more to bring him on or to be impactful. In terms of Trossard, very good technical ability. He had his chance. I can't remember the game now. Was it the Emirates? He started the game, he didn't play well, and he got hooked off. But when he comes off the bench, he does what you want. Is when your players come off the bench, what you want them to do is to make an impact. Trossard is very good at doing that, but that's not to say that he can't start more games. But then I'm not the manager. Mikel Arteta, you know, as I was guessing before games, we're not sure. It's one change, it's two changes, it's the same team. You don't know what he's going to do this season, because this season, I would say with Mikel Arteta especially, in my humble opinion, is you've got, people can argue about the depth in terms of the quality we have, but how are you going to manage the squad and the team in terms of getting your first 11 out? Because obviously last season we suffered a bit because we're playing the same team week in, week out. That's not the case this season. One, because of injuries, obviously, which happens to most clubs, and two, and quite simply, you just don't know what the manager's going to do. If you ask me to say, oh, what's the team going to be on Saturday? Don't ask me till probably Friday night, and I might give you an answer then. So just drop me a message, Dan.
100, man. You can never guess teams with Arteta, bro. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to come on to a last couple of things before we wrap up. For me, the fluidity has been an issue for a while, and Turkish and I have been talking about this for a while now. And Turkish, to be fair, has been really, really banging on that drum, saying that it's just not fluid. It's not like last season. And a lot of the arguments and defense has been from other fans. Well, we're not playing that way anymore this season. We seem to be a lot more solid, we're composed, we're calm, we're controlled, and all this defensive stuff. We're trying to go 1-0s, 2-1s. So I don't think we're going to see that. Now, let's be real, Gunnar Lee. This weekend, we must see some fluidity against Sheffield United. We've got no excuses. It's at home. We've got pretty much a fully fit squad now, other than Thomas Partey. Looks like Gabriel Jesus could have a knock, but other than that, we're pretty much there. We've got Trossard, hopefully, to come in if Jesus isn't there. And I believe Jorginho will continue to get the nod if Partey's not there. Do you think we will actually see a different Arsenal against Sheffield United, or are we going to see a similar Arsenal than we've seen all season in the first 9 games, bro?
I'll be honest with you, we should, but again, I'm sorry, but I won't be shocked if it's not the most amazing performance. And I'll be honest, I really do think that players like Jorginho don't help to progress the ball and create options and opportunities. He's just not good enough. He doesn't pass the ball forward. He can't get the ball in the right areas, and he's easily, sprung on in terms of the counter attack. So it wouldn't shock me if we don't have this amazing performance that I should expect from Arsenal against a team like Sheffield United, because they're absolutely woeful. But I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't be shocked if we don't get the performance we
Why do you think we haven't been as fluid this season, though, Lee? Like you said a couple of times about it. Go on.
I think mostly it's poor performances. Odegaard hasn't been great. Saka's been absolutely shocking. He's been horrible, absolutely shocking. I think the lack of fluidity in the front three. I think before the Chelsea game, they only played 14 minutes. So clearly they need a bit of time to get into the rhythm. Odegaard 100% needs to step up. 110%. I think he's probably been the worst player for Arsenal. 100%. He's been the worst. The reason why I don't get onto Saka or say much about Saka is because I think that he's clearly injured. And I'm not making excuses. That's just what I see. You can't tell me that performance he put in against Chelsea is the normal Saka that we've seen. I don't think that there's a player that is fully fit right now. So we need to wait and see how that develops. If that is how he is, then again, he needs to be dropped because he's been poor. But I think those two players, especially Martinelli's been good, but just need a bit more. And again, we're probably going to play Nketiah, and again, he is absolute dog crap. Like there's no getting around it. Like he's crap, and he's another one that does. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Like again, I can't disagree with Northside. Like there's certain players in the team like Odegaard, like Nketiah, just not good enough for Arsenal, and I don't understand why the manager keeps playing him. So let's see, but we should get a better performance, and we should have that fluidity. We did have a little bit more of that in the first half yesterday, but it wasn't enough. But so yeah, let's see.
Yeah, Northside, the manager actually does have to hold some of this now, because for me, he's asking him to play this way. He's playing the likes of Eddie Nketiah and Havertz ahead of Fabi Vieira and obviously Trossard. They're not really getting a look in as much as these two guys. Now we're starting to see Trossard come back on, which is, I think, what's needed, and probably would argue that some of the games he should be starting. We're seeing Tomiyasu now coming in, and hopefully that will be something that we see a lot more of, because I believe he's a better defender than Zinchenko. But Chaitanya makes a good point here. We're not fluid because we haven't had one fixed, consistent lineup. And it's actually facts. Every game has been a new lineup. So I get that. But does that just come back to the fact that the squad just still isn't ready for me? Like, there's still gaps in this squad, man.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. I just find it hilarious that it's okay to slander Nketiah. It's okay to slander Jorginho. It's okay. These lot, it's okay because they're not, it's okay because they're not fashionable. But when you slander Odegaard, no, you're being too harsh. It's the players around them. Like, I keep the same consistency with every player. And when I see people being selective, who they want to write off and who they don't, at the end of the day, I just don't really hear that. For me, the first half against Sevilla, bro, Tomiyasu was the only one really creating anything. He created more than our whole midfield. When we talk about our midfield, we only talk about Declan Rice. Shocker. Jorginho's been here longer. Ødegaard's been here longer. But you can't say that about Ødegaard because he's one of the favourites. One direction guard. He looks good. You know what I mean? He looks like he could be in one direction. He could be in one of the covers next to Saka with the new kit next season holding a puppy. At the end of the day, bro, I keep the same energy with everyone. Saka's not been good enough. Difference between Saka is Saka's actually shown me consistently that he's a top baller. Odegaard hasn't. That is the difference. Saka's played, 90 games in a row? The guy, bro, this is what I'm saying. Like, for me, I'm not going with a very convincing win against Sheffield United because when I look at it, I'm still seeing this manager pick Raya with, 3-4 games in a row, making blunders at the back. Eventually, it's going to cost us. He could have cost us 3 goals against Man City in the opening 15 minutes. He cost us against
he's gonna stick with him. If he to put Ramsdale back in now, flip it.
But you're allowed to say that because these Phillies that put because of Ramsdale. You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to judge. You're allowed to judge him. Raya, you can judge. Yeah, Jorginho, you can judge. Nketiah, you can judge. Reece Nelson, you can judge. But there's some ones you can't judge. You know what I'm saying? This is what I don't like. Like, let's call it for what it is. At the end of the day, the midfield looks disjointed, bro. I had Arsenal fans telling me, Jorginho controls the midfield. No, he doesn't, bro. 2 games in a row, it ain't look pretty. And we didn't win the Sevilla game because of Jorginho, because everyone in their match review did not big up Jorginho. But I get justified, Jorginho, he controls the game. The guy's a joker, bro. Let's players run off of him. Odegaard ain't looking good enough. But when it's Odegaard, look at the players around him. We don't judge him for what he's bringing. Look at the players around him. Well, Maddison, who did he have around him? And he still performed in the Leicester team. How many times do we get a big fish from a small pond? Zaha used to perform at Crystal Palace. Did they have ballers before they bought Eze and Elise? The excuses are pathetic. Then you look at the front three. Jesus, yes, he performed this game, but he's been very inconsistent and he's not a world-class finisher. Saka's worn out. And Martinelli should have had a brace against Sevilla. There was a couple of chances he missed. Yes, he looked energetic, not good enough. And this is a player that I rate. I keep it consistent. I don't start saying, you can't. I'm not going to get onto Martinelli because the rest of the team were crap. Yes, the rest of the team were crap. But he made his luck. And big up to him because he kept going forward regardless of what's happening around him. I don't use
that's
that
the difference in Martinelli. He gives 100, doesn't he? He keeps going. That's the difference in Martinelli.
And that's just, you see, like,
was the rest of the attack looking fluid? No, they weren't. When you're a top player, you will bring what you need to bring. We still would have given him a good mark because the guy kept going. He kept trying, bro. Even though not everybody in the midfield in the attack was giving him the service that he deserved. So at the end of the day, I'm not hearing any of that. We look inconsistent.
The reason why as well,
the Man City game, our defense kept us in the game, not our midfield and not our attack. Yeah. And then when you look at the bench, it's the same bench. Everyone called it a light squad last season, which is why we didn't win the league. But that's not negative.
I think, look, again, the reason why someone like Odegaard can't be compared to someone like Nketiah, because the last time Nketiah scored a goal was against, I believe, Man United. He scored 2 goals. So when I compare the levels of the two players, whatever your annoyance is with Odegaard, you can't put them in the same basket because he does nothing. And again, when I go back to it, I can give you last season, we were 1-0 down against Fulham from a mistake from Gabriel, the centre-back. Who gets the first goal? Who steps up and had a masterclass? It was Odegaard. So obviously you're not going to agree because you didn't. Obviously, it's not.
The consistency is in different ways. Odegaard has been more consistent, but like I told you, which you can't debunk. End of each season, when it's crunch time to get top 4, God forbid, win the league, he is not our star player. Which is what I'm telling you. We're going up against a Man City team that won the treble. The expectation from the fan base this season, the reason I'm angry is because the expectation this season, which should have been when we didn't win the league after 2 seasons, should be to win the league. Yeah? When I'm seeing this consistently, I'm seeing the club, the team destroyed, even because you know what? Yeah, people talk about fluidity.
The thing is, you put it on one player.
I'm going to say one thing, I'm going to shut up. We were fluid last season, but even when we were fluid, we had to get out of every competition to get second. This season, the bench ain't fixed, which is
that's not Odegaard's fault, though, is it?
Which is why I never said the whole blame is on Odegaard. I spoke on Odegaard as an individual player that I don't think is good enough. I never said all the blame is on Odegaard. Yeah, what I'm telling you is this: when people even say fluidity, we had fluidity last season, but guess what? The bench was the same bench we have this season. And that was used as the reason why we didn't win the league. So even when we get the fluidity back, are we going to win it? Because we can't throw every cup competition because this season we're in the Champions League. Are we going to throw it away and say bigger fish to fry? Oh, we're not good. We're just going to throw it. People don't understand what they're saying. Yeah. End of the day, bro, it ain't good enough, bro. It ain't good enough. The team has not been fixed as much as people think they are. We got a goalkeeper in Raya. Oh, he's better at his feet. No, he's not. Most of his blunders has been his distribution in the back. That's on the manager. Misprofiling a player. Havertz. Oh, we're gonna get Havertz to do the Xhaka role. Bro, the guy's been put on the bench because he ain't good enough. Yeah, and these are the people that we're bringing in to strengthen the team. And people think, what? We're just gonna bring fluidity back. Doesn't fix the fact that if Jesus gets injured, you got Nketiah. Saka was out, and it was panic stations playing Jesus at right wing. Odegaard, we don't have no one as good, ideally better off the bench to come on than Odegaard. And every time we play Partey, we're playing him at right back. And people said, oh, we could have won the league if we had Saliba. Well, did we go out there and bring a better centre back? Because Kiwior was kept on the bench. Yeah, after we had an injury last season to our centre backs, we played Kiwior. He played trash, got put on the bench, and we played Rob Holding, who we got rid of. But everything's fixed. Everything's fixed. I'm negative. End of the season, when you're not saying the same thing I'm saying, cool. Cool. You can apologize to me once again.
Yeah, see, man, listen, Northside can hold their own. Someone's put in the chat, super chat, saying, get Yardy on the show. Northside needs roasting. Play, man, listen, anyone's welcome to come on and talk things. And I know Northside, he can hold his own. He just says it how it is. Joe has also said on the super chat, Northside bottom line, do you bench Ødegaard? Yes or no? Who's his replacement? Good thing you aren't a coach. Your players would have PTSD.
Yeah, I'm sure the players under Mourinho don't have PTSD. I'm sure the players under Simeone don't have PTSD. I'm sure the players under Ancelotti don't have PTSD. I'm sure the players under Klopp and Pep don't have PTSD. Have you seen the Man City all or nothing? Nobody talk. He's getting onto a team that's won the Premier League. Yeah, I don't think they have PTSD. They keep winning. They won the treble. Yeah, let's continue with this, innit? Because we're definitely the example in England. 20 years without winning a major honour. 30 years without winning something in Europe. And you man talk like we are the standard. Delusional, man. Delusional.
Listen, fair play, man. Listen, before we wrap up, Albert, some players at the moment probably knocking on the door at Arsenal. And I wanted to kind of wrap up quickly with the Raya Ramsdale debate, but also with Smith Rowe knocking on the door, Tomiyasu, Trossard, we've mentioned. Do you agree with Northside that this squad isn't much stronger than last year?
I mean, if you go back to our summer window, I saw a lot of like podcasts talking rated that as 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I'm like, not too sure about that. Dan, you know what? I'm not sure. I think if you was asking this question, in terms of the squad stronger, I'll say ask me the question probably, I don't know what, early January. And I think then you'll definitely get an answer, because what you're asking is the players that have already been there for a few years to step up. And we talk about expectation and standards and going for a league title. What you want to see with this? What you want to see with this team, Dan? And I'll sort of come on to the place talking about is you want to see that they're learning, man. Because if you look at the last 2-3 seasons, so we missed out on Champions League. That should have hurt, which I'm sure it did. We get back in Champions League, but then on top of that is a title challenge. We don't get over the line, which still burns me now talking about it, like it should do any other Arsenal fan. So you don't want the same thing to happen. You say you don't want lightning to strike twice, well, actually it's 3 times. So what you don't want is them to be in the same position again, and for it to capitulate like it did last season. But then that's on the players, isn't it? That because obviously he's kept some of the players that some Arsenal fans might think are not good enough. They're still here. Are they going to step up this season? Time will tell. But in terms of the fringe players, I put it in the chat. ESR, my own personal opinion, I don't get it. He had a good was it under 21 tournament with the England team? They won the Euros. He gets himself fit. There's games we talk about fluidity till it comes out of our ears. Bring someone on that can make a difference, and he doesn't play. You could say label the same thing with who's the player I mentioned before? It's gone out my head, but ESR I don't get it. There's plenty of games this season. Of
Smith Rowe and Nelson, you were talking about.
So, Nelson. Nelson, I just don't think you trust him, Dan. To be honest, mate. I'm surprised he's still here, if I'm being brutally honest. But listen, they gave him the contract, he's here. But what you do want to see is, if Saka's not on it, people talk about the manager being ruthless for the goalkeeping situation. That's what I remember now. I cannot forget about that. You want the manager to apply the same ruthlessness as he is to the goalkeeper position as in other areas of the pitch.
Yeah, man.
And I think every Arsenal fan can agree with that. But as for the goalkeeper thing, I'm getting bored of it. But listen, Rare's a good goalkeeper. I'm not going to dispute that. People might think, what is he talking about after what they've seen in the last few games? But I'm obviously going on what I've seen of his time at Brentford, and he's come to Arsenal. No disrespect, Brentford's a very good side. Let me get that out there for Brentford fans coming in the chat. But you come into Arsenal, it's a different, the levels go up a bit more. The pressure's on. I thought Ramsdale, I don't know about you guys. For me, even before he got dropped, maybe it's the pressure. He just didn't look that confident in the sticks, from what I could see anyway. But from my own personal opinion, obviously, he gets dropped. Rare comes in. Arteta's going to stick with him, Dan, because the thing is, if he was to bring back Ramsdale into the side, and I don't just mean for cup games, I'm talking about as in you're in the team and Ray are out, you've made too many mistakes. Could you imagine when, for example, when Ray punched that ball? Oh my God, and that went in the goal. I would not have gone on social media last night. I thought
it was going in, man. I thought it was going in.
Yeah, I thought, what is he doing? But what I would say before I finish up is, Rare's come into the side, right? And I also find you have to ask yourself the question. Obviously, you watch the games we play, Rare's come in goal. Has he shown you enough as to why he should be in the team? And the answer is no. But Arteta's going to stick with him, because you're not going to bring a goalkeeper who you've wanted for 3 years, finally bring him into the team, and then take him out. Arteta said it in the press conference. What did he say? Goalkeepers make mistakes or players make mistakes. Is that not what he said? So to me, he will stick with him, whether Arsenal fans like it or not. Tough. Arteta's going to stick with this guy in goal.
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. Listen, to wrap up, Gunnar Lee, I want you to talk to me through your 11 for this weekend's game and why that 11 gets the nod for you. Obviously, you can mention the goalkeeping situation with that as well.
Yeah, I think Raya needs to come out. He's absolutely shit. He's done so many mistakes in the first 5 games that he's played. I mean, I don't know how many times he needs to make a mistake before we see that he's not a good keeper. He's no better than Almunia. He is literally no better than Almunia. Errors after errors after errors.
Almunia?
He's horrible. I mean,
wow,
that mistake yesterday, that mistake he made yesterday, if Karius made that, no one would blink an eyelid because that's the level. He's crap. What are we fighting this for? He's not good enough. Why is it that he has to make mistake after mistake after mistake for us to believe? That's why he's one of the reasons why we're not going to get to where we want to get to, and that's on the manager. For me, he's crap. He's absolutely woeful. Spurs,
Chelsea last week, yeah, the pass
Chelsea,
yes.
Yeah. How many mistakes?
Yeah,
I don't know. I physically can't fathom this. And I think the same back four as yesterday. I think that was perfect. I think, it looked good. I think Zinchenko obviously needs to come out of that left back role or whatever it is that he's doing. I'm guessing the same midfield three is going to play, because if Partey's out injured, then that makes probably sense. They're going to try and keep the ball, but again, just not infused by him at all, by Jorginho. And then obviously the same front three. I don't know if it's going to be. Look, even Runnison. I saw him in his first game make a mistake. I don't see what the hype is about Raya. He is horrible. He's passing. I think yesterday he had, was it 28% long passing? That was his accuracy. This is what he's been brought in to do.
That's meant to be bread and butter.
You imagine, right? You imagine you buy me, you get me as a security guard, and I let my fucking agent die. Well, what's the point getting me? He's horrible. He is crap. What does he do that is any better than Rams? He's horrible. So that's not an agenda. I'm literally looking at the game.
Negative. That's toxic and negative. Give him time. Project you.
No, but it isn't.
How dare you? You gotta give him time. Everybody else ain't playing well. The defense ain't playing well. Got Zinchenko leaking goals. That's toxic and negative of you.
That's I never wanted him from the get-go. I never wanted him from the get-go, I'll be honest. And then obviously I think if Nketiah is going to come in for Jesus, then, but again, he's crap as well. 2 goals since last year or whatever it was, or whenever he's like, it's woeful like for Arsenal. So yeah, I think that's what's going to be the team. I'm gonna have to lump it like that.
Yeah, man. Listen, for me, it has to be Trossard through the middle if Jesus is injured. So go Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka, and then I think it's midfield and the rest of the team picks itself for me. I think Jorginho in for Partey, it looks like now, and then obviously the back line, it looks like it could be reverted back to Zinchenko for the Sheffield United game, I would have thought, but could be wrong. Tomiyasu could keep his place. North side, what are you saying, bro?
Yeah, Jorginho out for Partey, Ødegaard out for Fabi Vieira, Saka out for, well, Reece Nelson, isn't it? Reece Nelson. Everybody was excited when he signed a new contract. Back your guy, innit? So, yeah, get him in because Saka needs a rest. Maybe Martinelli can stay. Yeah, and then
would you go Trossard up top then if Jesus is up?
Yeah, Trossard through the middle. Even though I preferred him in the system that we were playing last season, he looked like he wasn't even playing out of position. I feel like he played that striker role really well.
Yeah, same.
Ben White, I mean, we don't have another option, but the bench is fixed apparently. Tomiyasu can play left back, and Ramsdale in for Raya. Yeah, that's really all we can do. What else can we do? Bench is fixed, so if it doesn't work, just get the bench on, innit? You know what I mean? If not, Lee, that's toxic and negative. Give him a chance. The whole team ain't playing well. Don't blame Nketiah if he doesn't get a last-minute winner. The whole team ain't playing well. We're not gelling. We're not fluid enough. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. Trust your manager. Trust your process. Trust your bench. That's it. Project Youth.
Project Youth. Listen, I think we'll be fine against Sheffield United, and I think we'll bounce back from the Chelsea draw. Still unbeaten, still not playing well, and I can only take positives to the fact that let's hope that we can get bloody better, man, because we ain't going to win the league playing like this. I know that we ain't lost yet, and it's all positive, and let's be great about things, but we've already dropped points to Fulham, Spurs, and Chelsea, and we beat all 3 of them last season. So although we beat Everton and City,
Newcastle's coming soon.
And Newcastle's coming soon, which is a must. I mean, all these games are must win, right? But that's going to be tough, man. We play like we did against Chelsea. We'll literally hold about 4 or 5. Like, real talk. We are going to get battered if we play like that.
No more free hits. No more free hits. Have we stopped free hits?
Oh man, they must have stopped, man.
No,
That was when we were coming eighth, wasn't it? That was when we were coming eighth.
No free hits, man. No free hits,
Free
man.
hits. You know what's shocking, Dan? Last thing I'm going to say. We're playing literally so similar to the way we were playing in phase 1. And the excuse was he needs all of his players. But we reverted back to it. And now it's always trying to control the game. Okay. Oh, all right. Cool.
Well, let's see if we can control the game at the weekend and beat Sheffield United, because that's what we need to do big time. Albert, any last thoughts on the Sheffield United game before we close, bro?
We need to go and put them to the sword, man. We might not give them 8s like Newcastle did, but yeah, we need to go and put them to the sword, man. No disrespect to Sheffield United, but if you can't be getting a clean sheet at home against them, then we've got to have another conversation, Dan, mate.
100% we have, man. 100% we have. I think we'll comfortably beat them. If we don't, there's serious issues at the club, more than I even believe. But I think we will be fine. Listen, big up all of you, man. Make sure you go follow Gunali. Make sure you go follow Northside LDN. Make sure you go follow Albert JTV. And make sure you hit a like and subscribe on this one. We'll be back as ever. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're back with this panel next week. Until then, take it easy and up the Arsenal. Latest, people.